Hello everyone, here's another video, a short one, well, technically not short, but this is a small project. I have decided I needed a little break from the Glotkin and decided to make a bunch of Nurglings. And in this showcase I just wanted to show you how I would do these type of models. They're monotonous, you can do multicolor, but I am deciding to go for a single color and the same look as you can see on the box, on the back of the box when you buy the Nurglings. I've decided with blue though. So let's start with the Corex white and Administratum grey slap chop technique. So that's what we're doing here. As you can see, I have decided to try something new. I'm currently holding the model closer to the top view camera in the hope that it will give you more detail. And I have foregone the side view camera for this project. As you can see, this is just adding the Administratum grey, and after I've done one of these models I will just go and speed up the rest of them. So let's flash right through this. We are going to try and make this video below 20 minutes. Since this is not a very big project, but it's just to show you how I will address these type of models. So next up, Corex white for the highlights. Again, I will just show you the first model or part of the model I'm going to paint in real time, then I'll speed up again. Later on in the project I realized the color I've chosen for the base color is actually really potent, so I do have to make some adjustments, but for now we are, as I didn't know yet, we are just going to apply the same rule, and that is creating the highlights at this point. One thing to note is try not to keep the models too dark. Again, if you're here for the first time, if you keep the models too dark and you use a contrast after this, that it does not grab as well or does not cover the model as well, some Citadel contrasts are like that, you will just have very dark models. So it's better to be more light than dark, and you'll see that once I'm done here. At this point we're doing the decision making. As I said before, we're going for one single color. On the box it's a light green, but I'm going for a Briar Queen Chill, and I will use Gryph Charger Grey as the sort of like the darker parts. As you can see, the Briar Queen Chill is actually very strong, so to speak. So it grabs really well, and later on I'll show you the problem that this type of contrast will get you if you do it like this. So we're just throwing the color on thick and make sure that everything is covered before we continue. But as a result, the contrast will go into these crevices, the dark spots that's supposed to be darker, and actually highlight it rather than darken it, which is why we need the Gryph Charger Grey later on to counter that. I'm a bit out of picture here, my apologies for that. I do try to stay in frame most of the time, but the idea is simple. You just cover the whole model with that base color. There's no real, let's say, paint technique involved, and I'm doing this with everything. If there's like an open wound, or in this case there are some intestines, of course I will try to avoid painting that. At this point I'm going to try and paint the horns specifically. The initial thought was I'll just apply some green and Gryph Charger Grey and that would do the trick. But I soon find out that unfortunately this combination doesn't grab the horns that well. So I am changing strategy later on in this project, but I do like to show you what I'm doing and how I change up mistakes or developments that happen throughout a project. Then we've come to the next step, using Dark Angel Green for the details. That is the wounds, the open holes, the intestines, and so on. And I will be doing that. I think it didn't take much more than 10 minutes, I'd say, in total. So this entire project only lasted for a few hours, and that's what we're going to do now. Just apply this particular green. I like this particular green because it really, with the slap chop technique, it really helps maintain the details. So the highlights really get lighter than the darker areas. Do forgive me, I sometimes forget to erase it. So here we are. We're gonna bring it a bit closer. And this is nothing more than, again, painting between the lines, making sure we don't spill onto the base color. Now we have arrived at the adding the shadows to these models, and I will show you shortly why. As you can see here, the darker areas that's supposed to be darker are actually lighter because of the Briar Queen Chill, and that's why we are adding the Gryph Charger Grey to all the models now. Here I show you the right side has been treated with the gray and the left side wasn't. You can pause the video and go back to just have a look at the differences, but there are basically the details are better in that sense. So I've decided to continue applying it throughout the entire body of all the parts before we make changes to the horns, which will be the next part. Now we're going to work on those horns again. For this I've chosen my trusty old color, the Ratling Grime. As you can see, and I will be applying this to all the horns, even the ones that I missed before, because it turns out there are quite a few that look like details on bodies but turn out to be horns. And it's pretty straightforward stuff. So we will be forwarding this as well. With this finished, I am at the step of basing our models. I'm using Geek Gaming Cyanics for this. It's really nice stuff. I'm using arid greenlands, I believe. Let me just double confirm that for you. The arid grasslands, and it's pretty straightforward. I apply the glue to the base, make sure it covers the entire top part, including some of the, in this case, part of the model. They have a bit of stone, I believe, on the bottom of them. So I need to cover that as well. And with that done, you basically get your model finished. After I apply this part, I enhance it a little bit further. You'll see that later on. I'll be using water gel from AK, as well as some playgrounds from the same company, and that basically finishes the entire project. As you can see, nothing too difficult, and this is one way to get some of these style models quickly on the board.